Welcome back, friends. If you're thinking about streaming, it can be confusing. It can be difficult to do your own setup on your computer. So today, I'm doing a video that will give you a step-by-step instruction on how you can stream like a pro using OBS Studio. So I'm going to be going through my setup and hopefully give you some tips and tricks as you're setting up your PC. In this video, we're going to be going through all of these sections. So I'm going to start by giving you some warnings. We're going to talk about internet, PC specs, software setup, camera and lighting, and finally talk about sound. So I wanted to start just by giving some warnings. Now, the first warning is that streaming can get expensive. It is expensive to get the whole thing set up, and what I'm going to describe to you today does cost a little bit of money. But what I tell everybody is don't get discouraged. If this is something you want to do, start with where you're at. You don't have to start by just spending all of this money. If you have a phone, you can start by making videos on your phone and start building a channel. And then as you get more money, you can start buying more equipment and improving your setup. So I tell everybody, just start where you're at and grow from there. You know, the setup I'm going to describe is not the perfect setup. It's just where I'm at. And so I'm going to continue to grow as well. So that's the key here. Don't get discouraged if this is too expensive for you. Start where you're at and grow from there. The next warning I want to give is just a clarification. I'm a PC gamer, so I only play games on PC. So this is not going to cover streaming on Apple devices, console, or mobile games. Let's start by talking about internet. Now, if you're streaming, internet's going to be really important. So you're going to need fast, high-speed internet. So these are my internet specs. I connect to the internet through a cable modem. I have 500 megabits per second download, 10 megabits per second upload. The deal with cable internet is there is fluctuation. So if everyone in your neighborhood is home watching cable, then your speeds can decrease. But your speeds should be around whatever your program is that you're signed up for. Now, I don't share any bandwidth with anyone in my home, so my internet speeds tend to be fairly stable. So I haven't had any problems with this. Now, something else to keep in mind, you want to connect to your cable modem with wired connection. You don't want to use a wireless connection. So what I have is I have a wire from my cable modem to my router, and then a wire from my router to my computer. So it's all a wired connection. If you're trying to connect to the internet with wireless, you're going to lose over half of your internet speed. So it's important to have a wired connection. Next, let's talk about your computer. Now, I'm going to keep this really simple. You're going to want the most powerful computer that you can afford. The biggest drivers of video quality of your stream comes from two things: how fast your internet is and how powerful your computer is. So you really need both. So it's important to invest in having the best computer that you can. Now, I'm not going to get into the specific specifications because it's always changing. And as soon as I put this video up, it's going to be changing again. But basically, there's a couple of different components that you want to get the best that you can get. You want a good graphics card, you want a good processor, you want good memory, and you want a good hard drive. And what you're trying to achieve here is you not only need a computer that is fast enough to play the game, you need a computer that's fast enough to play the game and stream at the same time. So it's like your computer is working twice as hard, because some of these games, it's hard enough just for the computer to just run the game, but you have to run the game and then translate the game into a streaming signal that you're sending out. So your computer is working really hard. I would also add to this, it's also really important to have a good gaming keyboard and a good gaming mouse. Let's talk about monitors. So I have a 3-monitor setup. Now, you don't have to have 3 monitors, but it helps to have more, at least 2. Because what you do is you have the center monitor, you have your game running. And then what I do is on one monitor, I have YouTube up. So I'm monitoring what YouTube is seeing on my stream. And then on the other monitor, I have OBS Studio up. And OBS Studio is showing me what my computer is sending out in that streaming signal. So I have the game, I have what is going out in my stream, and then what YouTube is receiving in my stream. And at the same time, I'm monitoring chat and I'm monitoring my sound levels and I'm monitoring the game. So we're going to switch now and talk about OBS Studio. Now, this is the software that makes everything work. And as you can see, I'm actually recording this on the software right now. And it looks a little bit funny because you have the window within the window within the window. But that's because I'm recording the screen. I'm recording the screen and showing you OBS at the same time. Now, you wouldn't normally see this because OBS would be on my other monitor and I would be recording a different screen, but I'm trying to show you what OBS looks like. Now, this is actually a free software. You go to the website obsproject.com and you can download it for your computer. Now, to be honest, this is a little bit difficult to set up and to figure out, so I'm going to try and walk you through the different things that you'll need to do for your computer. But once you download it, you're going to see a couple of sections to the window here. So this top section here is going to show you what is being recorded or what's being streamed. You can either record with this software or you can live stream with this software. Then at the bottom left, you have what are called scenes. And you see down here, I have all these different scenes, and these are different layouts of what's on your screen. So you can click between the different scenes and it will change the layout of what you see. Next to the scenes, you have a window called sources. Within each scene, you set up different sources, which are the different areas within the window that's actually being recorded or streamed. Then next to that, you have the audio mixer, so you can see your audio levels. And then after that, on the bottom right, you have your controls, which is your buttons that you press to start streaming or start recording. Let's talk about settings really quick. So if I go to File, I can go to Settings. I can also go to Settings directly from this button down here at the bottom right. But you go to Settings and you have all of these different options. Now, with the new upgrades that have come out with OBS, a lot of these you can just leave where they're at. But let me show you how you set up your stream. Now, I stream on YouTube, but I understand that Twitch is very similar to this. You go down to Stream, and what you do is you select YouTube and then you put in your stream key. You get your stream key from your YouTube page. It'll give you this long stream key. Never show anybody your stream key. I have it blacked out here, but just never show anyone your stream key because whoever has this stream key can start streaming on your channel and you can't control it. So that stream key is very important and very important to keep private. But all you have to do is from your YouTube page, you copy the stream key from there, you paste it in here, you hit OK, and then you're ready to start streaming. Next, let's go down to output. This is also very important, and this is going to be a little bit of trial and error for you. So I mentioned before, the quality of your stream is going to be determined by the speed of your internet and how powerful your computer is. So if your computer is very powerful, you have fast internet, you can stream at higher qualities. But if you notice that your stream is starting to struggle, you might have to lower the quality of what you're outputting on your stream is so that you don't have buffering issues and it doesn't start stuttering and things like that. So these are the levels that I have set for my stream. I use the encoder that comes with my graphics card, which is the NVIDIA encoder. Now down here, I don't rescale the output of my stream. So what is being recorded on my screen is 1920 by 1080. That is what I output. Your computer might not be able to handle that quality, but that's what I do on my stream. And I also use a bit rate of 5000. If you go down to video, you can also see that I'm using this resolution of 1920 by 1080. But again, this is something you're going to have to play around with because the same settings are not going to work for everybody depending on your internet and depending on your PC. So you might have to increase or decrease the quality levels of your stream. So let's talk about the different scenes that I have set up. So you can see I actually have 6 different scenes, and these are the layouts of what's on my screen. And I will switch through these while my stream is going, depending on what I want to have happen. So my basic, what I'm using right now is I call scene big face. This is where I have a big where my face is pretty big on the corner of my screen. This is going to be too big while I'm streaming a video game. I want my face to be smaller. So my standard setup, I just call scene. And I have my face down at the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, and then the rest of my screen is going to be where my video game is playing. I also have a scene without face if I want to remove my face from the screen and just show the video game. I have my logo screen. This is how I start every stream. It's just a screen with my logo on it and my face down here. I can go full face where it's just my face and nothing else. I have my logo without anything, and then back down here where we're recording this video today. Now let's move to sources. And the way you set up sources is with this little plus button that's down at the sources section. So each of these scenes, you're going to set up the scene, and then you're going to set up the sources. And so what I would do is I would just, when you open this up, this is all going to be blank here. You have to build all of these from scratch. So I would just start with your main scene. What do you want your screen to look like for the most of the time? You create one scene by pressing the plus button, and then you start adding sources to the scene. So my basic scene will have the background, my face, and a couple of other things. So let's go through. The first thing I have in my sources is actually called browser. So when you hit the plus button, you're going to have all these different options. Browser is one option, and this allows you to pull in something from the internet, a web page. And what I use this for is what I use for alert boxes. If you can sign up with streamlabs.com, streamlabs.com allows you to create what are called widgets, which are things that can pop up during your live stream. So you might have noticed when I have a new subscriber, I have a little thing that pops up. And you just set this up on the web page, streamlabs.com, and it will connect to your stream by giving you a web link. You copy that web link, you paste it into this browser source, and you can actually test it. There's a button on the web page. I'm going to press it now. So this is what pops up when I get a new subscriber. Thank you, Zach Daily Games, for subscribing. And so that will pop up, and that's what's connected to this little browser tab. I have it up here in the corner. And you can move this to wherever you want it to show up inside your screen. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, but that's a really cool thing to make your streams a little bit more professional, is you just have these widgets pop up when you have like a new subscriber, or you get a donation, or anything like that. Moving on, I have audio input capture. Now this is my microphone. You set up your source. Let's go to properties, and you can I have it set at default because it defaults to my microphone, but if your microphone isn't default, you can actually select your microphone here. And it will create this new line here in your audio mixer so you can track your audio levels. Now, I also add a filter. For any of your audio stuff, you can add what are called filters. Now, I used to use a whole bunch of different filters, but with the recent updates of OBS, the audio quality has actually gotten really good. So I don't have to add a whole lot of filters to this, but I do use the filter called noise gate. I find that's very useful. Noise gate means that when your microphone drops below a certain level, it will cut off all sound in the recording. So if you have like a slight hum in the background, it'll cut that off once your mic goes below a certain level. So it'll only be really recording while you're speaking. So these are my settings. I have my close threshold and my open threshold at -55, takt time 15 milliseconds, hold time 200 milliseconds, release time 100 milliseconds. That's just what I found works for me. You might have to play around with this a little bit on what works for you. But this is really useful for gamers because a lot of times you'll hear the fan of your computer in the background just like really low. It's just like a really low hum. And if you set this up correctly, when you're not speaking, your microphone will just like shut off and you'll never hear your fan humming, which is pretty cool. So I use this noise gate filter. Moving on to video capture device, this is your webcam. And so you can go to properties, you can select your webcam. I've got my webcam up here. This button is also very useful, configure video. You can press this and you can adjust the settings of your camera right from OBS Studio. So you can zoom in, you can zoom out, all kinds of different stuff. So you set up your webcam, you move it to where you want it to go in the scene. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. And then last, of course, we have display capture. So this is the big red box here. It's capturing the whole screen and then recording it. Now you have a couple of options here. You can have display capture, which will just capture the whole display on your computer. Or you can also choose what's called game capture, which will just capture your video game. Now, I capture the display because a lot of times during my streams, I want to pull other things into the window, like web pages and stuff that's not the game, and I want everything to show up on my scene. But if you want to just show the game and you don't want people to see other pop-ups and things that come up on your screen, maybe you just want to record the game and not your actual monitor. But I've chosen, because of the way that I stream, I like to be able to pull other things in so you can see my whole monitor. Another thing to note here on display, because I have 3 monitors, you can just click here and choose which monitor you want to display. I can display any one of my monitors. Obviously, I'm going to choose the monitor that my video game is playing on, but you do have that option. Now, so that's all the sources for my regular setup, but let me just show you my logo one. My logo one, all I did was I picked my scene. I clicked duplicate, it duplicated the scene, so I didn't have to set any other sources up. It automatically just copies all the sources. And then I added a JPEG with my logo and put it over the monitor. So you just have this as a photo on your computer, and you can click image as a source. You select the file location of that image. It'll pull it in. You can move it around. You can resize it. So you see my face and you see the image. And that's how I do my logo screen. Let's switch to talking about webcams. So I have a medium range webcam. It's pretty good. I could do a lot better than this, honestly. But as you start increasing the quality of camera equipment, it can get really expensive. So, but basically you can get any kind of level of quality of camera and start using that, connect it to your computer, and use it as a webcam. Webcams, though, are only part of what determines your quality. What I think is actually more important than the webcam is just making sure you have good lighting. And I'm going to keep this really simple for you guys. You just need bright lighting that is consistent. You know, if you can have bright, consistent lighting, that is better than a lot of streamers out there right now. I've seen a lot of people use these ring lights. I don't know if you know what those ring lights are. Almost everybody uses those lights incorrectly. I do not recommend those ring lights. What I think is actually better and cheaper is to use, go to Google and just type in soft light. Those are really good. They're easy to set up. You can bounce them off the wall. I would recommend just getting some sort of soft lighting. The next step up, of course, is you can get a whole professional lighting setup. You could get it set up like a real film studio, professional lights hung from the ceiling, but most people don't have a studio to stream in. Most people are just streaming from their home. So unless you have a dedicated room, a studio to stream from, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money getting professional lights. I would just get some cheap soft lights that should do well until you get big enough where you can get a full-on studio and get professional lighting. And finally, let's talk about sound. Now, if you take nothing else away from this video, take this tip. Sound is the most important thing you can invest in. If you're going to spend any money at all, spend money on improving the sound of your videos. What I have found on YouTube is that people will tolerate bad graphics. People will watch if your graphics are not the best, but they will click off of your video if you have scratchy sound. If you have bad quality sound, it's really annoying and people won't watch. So you want good quality sound, and there's a couple of factors that play into that. It's more than just getting a good microphone, although that's part of it. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Get a good microphone. You might have noticed a lot of big time streamers have a big microphone that just sits on the desk in front of them. I actually don't recommend that because that's a microphone setup that works well if you have your own studio. So a lot of these big streamers, they have a room in their home that is all soundproof, that is just set up for their streaming. But most people, myself included, don't have that. You're just streaming from your home. There's usually people walking around doing things, making noise. And so you don't want this powerful microphone that's just picking up everything around you. What I actually use and what you see in the video right now is I have a highly directional shotgun microphone. And so this allows me to direct the sound of my voice directly into the microphone, and it's not picking up sound around me very well. So you'll notice that if I move around during my video, like if I go over here, you can't hear me as well. And that's because this is highly directional. So it's really great. I mean, there's a lot of times I'll have like dogs barking in the background and then you can't really hear it because this is just picking up the sound that's directly in front of the microphone. The second thing that's really important with sound is the position of the microphone. So I see a lot of people mess this up. You want the microphone directly in front of your face and then leave it there. Don't move your microphone around. The third thing is you want to get used to monitoring your audio levels during your stream. So you can see throughout this whole recording, my audio levels have been going up and down. Get used to watching that because you want to be able to see that your audio is in that yellow zone, preferably towards the upper end of that yellow zone. You want to get used to keeping your voice at a consistent audio level. So don't whisper and don't shout. Try to always keep your voice at the same level. Now, don't be monotone. You don't have to be monotone, but you have to train your voice so that you're at a consistent audio level that's actually a lot more pleasing to listen to than somebody who's screaming or whispering and going up and down in their volume. That's very hard for someone to listen to. So you want to talk at a consistent volume. The next thing is headphones. You want to be using headphones during your stream. So I have these Sony headphones, and what this does is it means all the volume from your game is going into your headphones and is not getting picked up by the microphone. So the only thing being picked up by the microphone is your voice. And you can monitor then down here in the audio mixer, you can see desktop audio. This is going to be the volume for your game. And then you'll see the volume for your voice. And you can play with this. I usually have the volume for my game down a little bit so that you can hear my voice a little bit better. But you can play around with this to see what works best for you. And of course, different games all have different audio levels. So you'll have to play around with this for every game. Another thing I want to talk about is audio when you're collabing with other creators. So you might be playing games with your friends and talking and having audio while you're playing the game. The best way that I have found to do this is by using TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak is an audio software program you can use. I find that this is the best quality and the best control that I have on managing my audio levels. And so that's just what I use. Whenever I collab with somebody, I want to use TeamSpeak. And finally, copyright music is always an issue. Most video games have an option where you can turn off copyright music. So make sure that you're careful with copyright and turn off all copyright music while you're doing your streams. That was my step-by-step guide on how to stream like a pro using OBS Studio. I'm Zach from Zach Daily Games. Thank you so much for watching and best of luck in growing your channel.